The Fandom Bricks Podcast.
Hello, everyone. It is that time of the week again for the Fandom Bricks Podcast. And would you believe that we have been doing this for 10 weeks? We made it to 10 weeks of doing the Fandom Bricks Podcast. Wow. I am one of your co-hosts, the Galaxy of Bricks, or Josh, whichever one you prefer. And as always, I am joined by my amazing co-host who doesn't need any introduction, but it's a podcast. He gets an introduction. So take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sam, better known actually now as Fandom Bricks. As a very quick aside, this week I did make the decision to change from Bite-Sized Bricks to Fandom Bricks purely so it kind of streamlines channels, as we've discussed at the end of almost every single episode. I'm like, I can't keep up with Instagram. I can't keep up with the Fandom Bricks TikTok account. So what I've decided to do is have my thing as the Fandom Bricks, and then we are obviously the Fandom Bricks podcast. So if you do come across any of that, we're trying to kind of streamline everything as much as possible so that we can get as much content out to you as possible. So yeah, Fandom Bricks now, which sounds very weird. It's been quite a big week in news, certainly for myself and Josh being Lego Star Wars fans, which we will get to in a bit. But aside from that, Josh, what's happened in Lego in your week?
I'm not going to lie to you. Do you remember how I've been trying to be good?
Yeah, I do. Every single week, I remember.
Yeah, I fell off the wagon a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I've seen within the WhatsApp, you've had a small amount of abuse, really, haven't you, for the amount of things that you've been picking up?
Yeah, for those of you who are not aware, I'll start with my build of the week. So this week I built a retired set in my collection. So I built set number 75086, which is from 2015, which is the droid troop transporter from Star Wars Rebels. I built that last night on Brunch and Bricks with one of our guests, Pod Bricks. It's an absolutely amazing set, so there will be content of that coming on my TikTok and my Instagram this week. But I did go out at the weekend, even though we're like 2 weeks to Christmas virtually. It's time of recording. Boxing Day is 2 weeks today at time of recording. I did go out and I did buy the Inquisitor transport, the Scythe.
Nice.
And I did also buy the Lego City lunar base as well, which is right behind me. You can't quite see it in the frame, but I bought the lunar base from Lego City as well.
You've kind of shot yourself in the foot by beginning to collect Lego City, because I look at Lego City and I think the amount of money the sets are for what you're getting is so much more reasonable than Lego Star Wars, and it makes it so much more tempting to go out and pick things up.
Well, I'm the Galaxy of Bricks, so it was kind of fitting that the 3 Lego City sets I have in my collection are all NASA or space
themed. Yeah, nice.
That was what I was going for. I felt like it was time to. You don't get a lot of people talk about Lego City on TikTok or Instagram, so I felt like it was a good time to really kind of introduce that. And I'm trying to limit myself to Lego Space because it's my thing. But yeah, I fell off the wagon and bought those 2 sets in one transaction right before Christmas.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, there's not many people that do Lego City, but actually you've kind of shared your Lego City advent calendar, and having looked at the boxes and looked at different things, I do honestly think that they produce some of the best stuff in Lego. I think for me, the only reason why I haven't picked up any Lego City is because I need to keep a rein on what I'm collecting. Otherwise, it's just going to get out of hand.
Yeah. But what about you, mate? What have you been up to Lego-wise this week?
I actually had a fairly busy week this week, I guess, in Lego. I mean, a daily basis. We've got a lot going on at home at the moment, and I found myself driving in between places quite a lot this week. And so you end up passing shops, and then you end up thinking, oh, maybe I'll just go and have a little look. And then you go and have a look, and then you pick different things up. So as you know, I have kind of sunken into a small Pokemon collection. These Mega Constructs ones that are great. I say they're great builds. They're okay builds, but they're great display pieces. And so I went with Jacob the other day, and he was desperate to get a Charizard as well, so we picked that one up.
Nice.
Built that one together, which was really cool. I finally put BD1 together.
I can see it. It looks amazing.
Which is also, it's probably one of my favourite ever Lego Star Wars sets now, which is awesome. So I've got as I said last week, I've got the light kit ready to go. So I've just got to find a bit of time now to go back and add the light kit in, which I'm very excited about. And yeah, I've pulled a few pieces because all of my collection has been in storage for a couple of months now. So I've just begun to kind of start pulling pieces back out. So I've got like the TIE fighters out, and I actually bought another TIE fighter, even though I've already got two of them, the most recent, like the 2021 TIE fighter, because I'm going to see if I can use put two of them together to build a TIE bomber. So that's going to be a bit of a project this week. I'm going to try and get that sorted and out this week before the new TIE bomber comes out, for those people that may not be able to afford to go and pick up the new one straight away. So yeah, I've had quite a busy week this week. It's been quite nice to spend a bit of time getting back into building things and sorting things out. So yeah, been good fun this week.
Good. I'm glad. And when you're on about the mega constructs, I went to my local Smiths where I am, because I'm not recording at home this week because I'm having some renovations done. So I'm recording at an undisclosed location for the podcast. And there's a Smith's toy store about a 10-minute drive from where I am. And when I picked up the Scythe and the Lunar Base, the Pikachu Mega Construct was right behind me on the shelf. And I instantly thought of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I instantly thought of you. I was like thinking, I'm getting content for the pod, things to talk about. And then I also spotted the Pikachu and thought, it reminds me of Sam, that does.
Nice. Well, I saw this week as well, because we talked about on a live it must have been a couple of weeks ago, I was building Squirtle, I think, on a live.
Yeah.
And Pod then went online and kind of went on the website and was kind of talking us through how many things there. And I have seen this week that Pod has finally given in as well and started picking some up as well. So unfortunately, this collecting business is a bit addicting.
It's becoming a case of where it's like, when do you stop? Because if it's not Lego, it's another like brick-based brands products, which are very good. And it's kind of like, you don't want to develop a new addiction within the same realm, but it's becoming that case, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But so for myself, I've kind of told myself, and we'll wait and see whether this is going to be the case. So the Charizard is Jacob's, but I kind of sat and helped him through that. But in my head, I'm like, I'm going to get Squirtle, Charmander, Bulbasaur, and Pikachu, and have those four and leave it at that. For me, like Pokemon ended after like the first 150 Pokemon anyway. Like Pokemon Red and Blue was my era, and I kind of grew out of it past that. So I don't really have any need to kind of go out and get anything other than that. It's only a nostalgia thing for me. So I'm hoping that the collection will stop there, but we'll wait and see.
Watch this space, everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so those were our Lego life stories. Let us know what you've been up to this week, whether you bought anything or if you're kind of keeping it quiet up until Christmas, unlike Josh. So that was our Lego life story. So on to our main topic this week. And I think most people now have kind of seen that most or all of the Lego sets, and it's a really small wave for this one, which we'll talk about in a minute. But there are 4 sets coming out for LEGO Star Wars in January 2023. And we now have had pictures and kind of hands-on videos from certain people of all of these sets. And yeah, so we're going to talk through our thoughts on those sets. And they are the Tusken Raider Brickheads, the Boba Fett Starship, Slave One, Microfighter, the 501st Battle Pack, which is officially a battle pack. It's called 501st Battle Pack, and the Imperial TIE Bomber. So I think we'll probably start with the easiest one to discuss. So we'll start with the Tusken Raider Brickheads. Josh, what's your thought on this set? Have you seen images of it? What do you think?
Don't like it.
You don't like it?
No, I mean, I brickheads are not my thing. You know that, and I know people. Like, don't get me wrong. I have a couple of brickheads. So I've got the Manchester United brickhead, which is my sig fig because it looks like me. I've got the Mandalorian and Grogu brickheads, which are on my mantelpiece. And where I am, there's a couple of Harry Potter brickheads. There's a Buzz Lightyear, and there's 11 and the Demigorgon. So as brickheads, they work. But the Tusken Raider one, it just looks a little bit ugly. Like, I get they've got to try and get like the Tusken Raiders mask and features and things like that. I just don't like the design of it.
No, okay. So I've just pulled up the picture here, and I'll get it on the screen on our YouTube channel when we do this. But I completely get what you're saying. I think there's almost too much detail in a Tusken Raider, isn't there, to get onto a Brickhead's when you're limited to certain pieces. The thing that did amuse me, I always like to read these, is the kind of description underneath the build. And under it's like, where is it? Yeah, fans can relive thrilling scenes on Tatooine as they rebuild the Lego Brickhead's Tusken Raider character. And I thought, who's playing with this? Who's reliving any scenes with this Tusken Raider? I just feel like it's overselling it a little bit there. I am with you. I don't love it. I think I need to kind of have it in hand, which I will do. I know that we've kind of discussed this. The Brickheads I've not been a big fan of, but they're slowly sort of creeping in. Obviously, the Mando and Grogu, the Ahsoka, Vader and Obi-Wan I've really liked. And I almost feel like if we'll talk about the amount of sets in the wave. If the waves kind of stay this size, then I don't feel quite as bad picking up the Brickheads as I used to, because I used to feel like it was like there's 6 or 7 sets and I want to pick up all these other ones, and that was kind of bottom of the list. And because it's such a small wave, it feels like it might be something that I'll pick up anyway, just kind of having the collection. I really like the box art of it. They've got a nice picture of the Tusken Raider on the side. That I do like the Brickheads box art for these, and it's very similar on the Vader and Obi-Wan. But yeah, I think too much detail for a Tusken Raider to fit into a Brickheads for this one. Yeah,
and I think it looks a little bit like the stuff from Nightmares as well. Like if you were to have that on display, built on a shelf, and you were startled in the middle of the night and that was staring right at you, I think that would make you more freaked out, if I'm brutally honest with you.
Yeah, it's those kind of like cones for eyes.
Yeah.
It's staring into your soul.
Very Hellraiser.
Absolutely, yeah. So that was the Tusken Raider Brickheads. The next one we'll go on to and talk about is Boba Fett's Starship. First of all, before we even discuss the ship, how much does it annoy you that they're still calling it Boba Fett's Starship?
Yeah, I mean, it's Slave One. It always has been Slave One. I get that, obviously, the word slave is a contentious word to use in the modern climate and things like that. But if you look at the media, you look at the canon lore behind it all, it's called Slave One. So I don't see why you can't just call it as Slave One. I mean, it just makes sense, really.
Yeah.
Boba Fett's ship is just like, it doesn't have the same ring to it as Slave One.
I just feel like it feels childish, and I then kind of understand that when you think about what it is. It's Lego. Let's be honest, we're talking about Lego bricks. They are for kids, especially these microfighters are for kids. But it does annoy me. It feels really childish. You could even go, so the actual type of ship is a fire spray. So I feel like at least go for the official kind of designation of that ship. It's almost like calling the Millennium Falcon like a YT model freighter. Like just call it what it is. Yeah, just annoys me.
You get a microfighter that says Han Solo's Starship microfighter. It's too long.
Yeah, they would never do it. They'd never do that. So it feels like doing it for the sake of trying to be politically correct when everyone knows that it's called Slave One, and it has been for when did that last one come out? A year ago? I think it was only a year ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, is it the one with the Mandalorian, isn't it, as well?
Yeah. So yeah, when did we first see Slave One? In Empire Strikes Back. So what's that? 43? Yeah, about 42 years. It's been known. People have known it as Slave One from merchandise material back then. It just feels very politically correct for the sake of it when it doesn't really need it. But anyway, I digress. Let's get back on to the actual build. Microfighters in general are not my thing. I'm not a big fan. The only microfighter I can remember getting in recent memory is the Razor Crest one, and that was only because I liked the fact that you could build the Razor Crest and then do people had adapted it online to make the N1 Starfighter as well. Which was really cool. But I only kind of bought it for the sake of that, and I bought it when it was on sale for £6, and I felt like it's £6, you get another Mando minifig and a few extra pieces. I don't like the microfighters. I hate that the cockpit is so open. I know they've done that on previous X-Wing microfighters as well. But this one in particular, I just think it looks super jaggedy. And I know that's really difficult in Lego anyway. But for Boba Fett, it's a very kind of round, curved design. And it doesn't look like that at all in this microfighter. So this is a massive miss for me. Again, it's kind of along the same lines as the Razor Crest that we've talked about. Why put out a Boba Fett starship? Last year we had the Razor Crest microfighter, which then became the Razor Crest UCS set. Are we going to get a UCS Slave 1 again at the end of the year or later on in the year? You never know. But what are your thoughts?
I mean, yeah, I don't like the design of this. Like you say, it's too jaggedy, it's not smooth and things like that. And don't get me wrong, I like microfighters. I have a soft spot for microfighters because it was a microfighter set that got me back into collecting Lego as well. So I'm a little bit biased when it comes to microfighters. Don't get me wrong, there are some absolutely awful microfighters. So, for example, the Anakin's N1 Starfighter that came out in 2019.
Oh, yeah.
I'd never picked that up. I hated it. Not a big fan of prequels, Anakin Skywalker. I never picked up some of the other ones as well, just because they didn't interest me. So that's my contentious thing. But for the vast majority of the time, I like some of the microfighters because I like minifigs. Minifigs are my kind of thing. I know some people like the sets, they don't like the minifigs. I'm a minifigures kind of person. But this, to me, is a bit of a misstep because, like you said, we had the Razor Crest last year, or another version of the Razor Crest. They've given us yet another version of Slave 1 because we had a massive Slave 1 with the Mandalorian like last year. We've had other versions as well. We had a play scale one in the UCS Betrayal on Cloud City set. We had a UCS style Boba Fett ship or Slave 1, if we're going to call it what it actually is. We had that, was it like 6 years ago or something like that?
Yeah, is it
2016, 2017?
Yeah, possibly.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
It's within that time frame. So it seems to me, and one thing I mean, for me, if you're going to release a version of Slave 1, release maybe a original trilogy version of Boba Fett. Give us a new updated Boba Fett minifigure. Don't give us the Book of Boba Fett Mandalorian version of him. Give us an original trilogy one because that is where the ship is more iconic. It makes its appearance in The Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, it's a bit of a misstep because, like you say, the cockpit is open and it's just a bit of an ugly design, really.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you were right. It was 2015, so it's 7 years ago. I agree. The minifig, like you say, buying microfighters, you almost buy it for that minifig. When you look at the price, you're paying minifigs normally, if you're getting a basic minifig, it's around £5, £4 or £5 a minifig.
Yeah.
So by the time we bought that, that's half of the set itself. So when you look at that minifig, the amount of grief that Lego got after the previous Boba Fett starship and the colouring of his helmet compared to the colouring of the rest of his kind of Beskar armour, you just felt like they could have easily done something with that. That's a very quick colour change. They didn't even need to change the design of the helmet. They could have just changed the colour of it and had it repainted, his repainted version. Or like you say, they could go back and do an Empire Strikes Back version of Boba Fett. For me, I would be running out to the store on January the 1st if it was a Jango Fett Slave 1 and it was Jango Fett and it was the blue colour way of Slave 1. You'd have everybody running out to the store then. It just feels so lazy when you look at Boba Fett's, and the Boba Fett starship that's out now with the deals, you can pick it up for 30 quid.
Yeah.
I'm thinking,
exactly.
am I really going to buy, for the price of 3 microfighters, I could go and get the full set. I'd get Boba Fett, I'd get Mando in there as well. And you get a proper play scale, good looking, because that is a good build.
Oh, it's a nice build. It's a nice build.
So I just feel like it just feels super lazy.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, so I'm not a fan.
And in a way as well, it's kind of like with this version of the microfighter as well, in a weird kind of way, it's almost like they're too reliant on these tried and tested designs. Like Razor Crest, we've had, as we spoke about numerous times in previous episodes of the podcast, it's yet another version of a ship we have seen so many times. We have seen like 5 or 6 Slave Ones in the last 20 years or something like that. Give me a ship that has yet to be made in Lego. Give me something new. Give me something to test the water as a microfighter that I've never seen as a ship before, and then release it as a playset. Because I kind of look at it and think, I don't need another Boba Fett. I don't need yet another version of Slave One. And like you say, you can get the play scale Slave One for £30. You can get Boba Fett's throne room from the Book of Boba Fett with 6 minifigures and a nice detailed throne room design that slots into the original Jabba's Palace or the UCS Mos Eisley Cantina for 70, 80 quid. And that is more value for money than this, I think.
Absolutely. I think you've made a really good point there that the microfighters should almost be testing the water rather than going back to the tried and true and the ones that they know are going to make money. They're small sets, so why not try different things? Immediately in my head, because I'm thinking, why are they going back to Razor Crest? Why are they going back to Slave One? The only reason in my head is because that's what's been most recent TV. So we've had Book of Boba Fett and we've had Mandalorian. And for me, that means that I'm praying that when Ahsoka comes out, we're going to get so many Rebels characters. It's going to be ridiculous. Fingers crossed. However, the one outside that is Andor. Now, Andor has had mixed reviews, but critically has been very well received, I would say. It certainly grew in, and I rewatched it last week as a whole thing and as a whole series. It works so much better when you can just follow that story straight through. But the one that sticks out to me that they haven't done anything with, because they've only done one Andor set, is Luthen Rael's Fondor. So it's the ship that he has that kind of fires 2 lasers out the side of it to kind of take out some ships in the series. That would be microfighters are easy to put together. They could easily just pick out a ship like that or another ship from a different story that they haven't done before, try it, see whether people are interested in that ship, and then, as you say, put it into a play scale size, and they'll know whether it's going to be successful or not, because I think that would the microfighters would be a really good gauge of whether it is going to be successful.
Exactly. And also, as well, it seems with the announcement of Jedi Survivor, the new Star Wars game coming out, wouldn't it
get me a Mantis?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, give us Cal Kestis as a minifigure with a microfighter scale version of that. It would be perfect advertising for the video game. And if it sells, then you can release a play scale version with, say, Cal Kestis. You could do maybe like what they've done with the UCS Star Millennium Falcon. You could do the original first game version. You could do the new game version. You could alternate it and adapt it that way. Because I just feel like that is one property that, obviously, I know it's a video game and video games are hit and miss with Star Wars sometimes. But I feel like that would be the perfect opportunity to try something new as you're about to release a new video game into the Star Wars canon in the new year. It makes perfect sense to me to do that.
Well, you are completely right. You say games are hit and miss. I've never, ever met another Star Wars fan that doesn't love Jedi Fallen Order.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I would never, ever consider myself a gamer. I pick up Star Wars games to play them through. Things like Squadrons, I would never, if that was any other property, I wouldn't even go near it. But because it was Star Wars, I picked it up and played it through. So I only ever play Star Wars games. So my gauge is against all other Star Wars games. I have never met anyone that doesn't love that game. It's probably the only game of that sort of style that I've played from start to finish. And I did it so quickly. I neglected all parental duties for a couple of weeks. I loved it. And I think with BD1, it's been such a popular set. Loads of people have picked it up. Loads of people were excited to pick it up. And to be honest, up until now, now that we've got the kind of gameplay trailers for Survivor, it hadn't really crossed my mind. But now you've mentioned it, I can't believe that they haven't touched it, especially when in the past they have done things like Old Republic sets. They've done things like Force Unleashed sets. It seems odd that they haven't, because it's clearly very popular. I think a lot of people would pick up those sets.
Yeah, and it's like just to quickly move on to on this topic before we talk about the two other sets in this wave. When you're on about video games and sets, there's two battle packs from I think like 2015, 2016 that are based on the original Star Wars Battlefront. So it's the Imperial Battle Pack and the Rebels Battle Pack are actually based on the design aesthetic of that video game. And they're good battle packs. So they have done it. Forget another version of the Razor Crest. Forget a Micro Fighters Slave One. Give us something new to the Star Wars lore that we know fans are going to want. BD1 is a prime example of that. Give us Cal Kestis as a micro fighter, test the water. If it sells out, give us a larger playset, and it's a license to print money. It's new, it's different. It's not yet another version of something we've seen countless copies of. Yeah, just do it, I think.
Yeah, a great point. And they are still doing it. So let's move on to our next set. We'll talk about the 501st Battle Pack. Now, before we go into it, we'll very quickly caveat what we were just saying in the fact that these 501st Troopers are based on the designs from Battlefront 2.
Yes, so it's a perfect segue.
Yeah, so absolutely. So that is kind of where my head is at when looking at these figures, this set. I'm kind of looking back at Battlefront 2 knowledge and trying to critique against that rather than just kind of looking at it at face value. So I'll go to you first, Josh. What were your thoughts on this set, having kind of seen all the images for them now? And will you be picking it up?
I want it. I want it now. I want more than one of them. And please, 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 please give them to me. This is a fantastic battle pack.
Yeah. I mean, we all knew. I've been talking about the 501st Battle Pack for God knows how long.
Yeah.
I even modified a Republic gunship to make it 501st just to suit or fit in with the army. I'm a big 501st fan. I'm a big Clone Wars fan. And so, yeah, it suits perfectly. It's even got the little 20 years of Clone Wars symbol on the side of the box as well. This is a great set. I think the cannon looks so much better than the previous versions that we've had. I like that they put two heavy infantry troopers in there. They've obviously got the specialist and the officer in there. What I would say about the specialist, we've got the macro binoculars, and I think many people have kind of said this on the reviews. On the game and in other custom minifigs before, we have seen printing on those macro binoculars. It would have been nice to just kind of have one line, just one little blue line down them, just to kind of give it a bit more detail, but that's being super nitpicky. The other one is the kind of heavy infantry troopers. Their lower legs they've got the blue kind of cuffs around their legs in the game, and they're white in the minifigs. Other than that, that's about all I could find that wasn't kind of perfect when I'm looking at games, but it's a great set. The only thing for me that I would say is that I won't be picking up as many sets as I did from the previous one. I don't feel like within the clone army I need 20, 30 heavy troopers or 20, 30, certainly the officers and the specialists. They're kind of a smaller aspect of, if you're kind of army building, which I think a lot of people use these for, they're a much smaller aspect than just your general 501st clone troopers. And what I have seen in the last week is unbelievable amounts of people picking up 501st battle packs, and I think people have finally realised that there's not going to be a normal 501st trooper in there, and now everyone is trying to get those last few 501st battle packs. I went on the Argos website and they had it on sale. It's not really on sale because they don't have any in stock anywhere in the country. So people are obviously panic buying those now, which is quite funny.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, I think this is good because it's a 501st, and you know people love the 501st, and as we've said, the previous 501st battle pack is one of the best battle packs ever, period. It's a fantastic set, and I mean, for the army building people out there who want to do these things, you can adapt the minifigures and change them over a little bit, because obviously, as you notice now with a lot of Mandalorian figures, as you notice with a lot of clone figures now, they give you range finders, they give you micro binoculars in multiple versions of them, so you can buy multiple versions of a set and adapt them. So if you don't want to have them all the same, you can adapt the minifigures to suit your needs, because these are going to be designed to be played with. And if you want to have a bit of variation, you can easily change the helmets over, you can change the rangefinders and the micro binoculars. There's options there. I like the turret though. Like you said, this turret is fantastic, and it's one of the best ones we've ever seen in Lego.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point about the minifigs, that you can kind of swap them around and keep it different. But I know that a lot of people, having watched reviews, are critical, and have been since the ATT came out with this new clone helmet that's got the kind of holes in the side of the helmet. That it really doesn't bother me. No, to be honest, it's not something that I ever look at and think, oh, that's ugly. Certainly with the 212 troopers from the ATT, it didn't even cross my mind until I watched another review of it. So yeah, it's not something that bothers me, and I think, like you say, it's nice that you've got the adaptability there. I have seen videos where they've kind of put the macro binoculars on different helmets as well. So it's nice that they're all kind of compatible with older style helmets. So like you say, you can kind of chop and change, which is really cool. And you can kind of add different bits to your 212 unit as well. I have to say, I'm a little bit disappointed it wasn't a 212 unit. I think it would have been cool to kind of add to the ATT set. Obviously, lots of people have got 501st Armies, but I get why they've gone with it, and I'm not upset about it at all. There were initial rumours early on that there was going to be a Rex involved. As much as I would have liked a Rex, I completely understand why he is not there. People do not want to army build when there's a named character in there, because you're just going to end up with 20 of the same character. So I completely understand where they've gone for, and I do think it's going to be a winner. I think I've heard it's going to be a £20 set. Obviously, there's a lot fewer pieces than the previous one. There's no battle droids in there, which I do want to talk to you about in a minute.
Oh, God.
Battle droids again. No, I'll just take a quick aside. It was really funny because today I was just sat on YouTube for a little bit, and someone who I've never come across before, and I cannot remember the name off the top of my head. I will find it in my YouTube history and I'll post a link in our YouTube video. But it was a guy talking about, and he literally posted it this week, I think. And he was talking about how Lego have never changed the B1 battle droid, and how they need to update the B1 battle droid and bring out a droid battle pack. It just made me laugh that after last week, when I was raving about the B1 battle droid and how it's never been changed, which is why it's so good.
Yeah. And then it was also it was also in the Star Wars Advent calendar as well, obviously.
Yeah.
And I have just finished a set that is 12 B1 battle droids and 2 droid pilots. You know what I mean?
Can't escape them.
Yeah, they're haunting my dreams now.
But he came up with some really good points. But when watching that, it clicked in my head that actually there are no battle droids in this battle pack. And that's all right. I don't really mind that. But what I do think it will indicate is that we will get at some point a separatist battle pack to kind of counteract that. Yeah. Whether that be kind of B1s, B2s. Maybe we might finally get a crab droid. We know the designers have heard that people were not happy that there were spider droids in the ATT. So it'll be interesting to kind of see what's coming further down the line. But I do think it will indicate that we'll have a separatist battle pack at some point, because it seems odd to kind of go for one side and keep building one side, especially if you think about that playability. You want to kind of have someone to fight against. Yeah. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to kind of see what comes down the line. But yeah, I think we're kind of both in agreement that it looks like a great set.
It's a solid set, and I think this will be one that will sell out really quickly upon release. And I think there may be a couple of months where people will struggle to get hold of this set. My advice would be quite similar to a lot of the previous sets that were released last year and the year before. Don't go out of your way to spend a lot of money on these sets if you can't get hold of them, because they will be released in vast quantities as the year progresses. As we discovered with the blister packs and the Clone Trooper Command set as well, they were sold out within days. The same for the Snow Trooper Battle Pack as well. And they were 3 times the price on secondary and third-party markets. So don't go out of your way to get these. Bide your time if you can't get hold of them, is what I would say. That would be my advice.
And certainly if you're army building, if you want to go out and pick up a set on day one, I know that this isn't going to stop people, but I know in my head I'll go and get one in the first week or so if I can get my hands on a 5 First Battle Pack. But what I won't be doing is going to get multiple ones on week 1. I'll go and get a set so that I've got a set, and then when I want to start army building, I'll wait further down the line. You can guarantee at some point it's going to be on sale. Just like the previous one has kind of stuck around that £25 mark for a long time, but very occasionally you can get it for 20. So
yeah,
I'll just look out for those times and kind of pick it up then. Okay. So on to the final set of the wave, which is the Imperial TIE Bomber. So I have a lot of thoughts about this set, but I will head over to you, Josh. What are your thoughts on the Imperial TIE Bomber?
I really like it. I think one thing that really sells it for me is the fact that it's got an exclusive minifigure that we've never had in Lego, which is Ray Sloan. For those of you who are not familiar with her and her backstory, Ray Sloan is an Imperial officer. She is akin to Admiral Thrawn in the respect of she's one of the best Imperial officers out there. She's very prominent in the updated Disney canon. So if you've read the Thrawn trilogy, if you've played, as Sam rightfully said, Star Wars Squadrons, she makes a cameo in that. She's in a lot of the novels as well. So she is a prominent character within the Disney canon. So I think her finally getting a minifigure is a great idea, because if you're a fan of the Disney canon, it fulfills that dream because you're getting an updated set with a named character. And I think it's a selling point because the Darth Vader design is the same as the one we've had in the Kenobi set as well, the big slab brick. The TIE Pilot is an updated TIE Pilot in terms of the overall body colouring and pattern of it. It's an updated TIE Pilot design, but the helmet is still the same. So you're still getting the exposed white neck and head, which is an only gripe of the TIE Pilot for me. But you're also getting a gonk droid as well, which is quite nice. You know, everybody loves gonk droids. Why not? So for me, this set, I think if you're going to pay like £60 to £70 for it, this is definitely a winner because we haven't had a TIE Bomber in a few years.
About 20, yeah. I think it's been.
Just a bit, yeah.
So going back to the minifigs, I think you're right. Ray Sloan, it's been really, really funny when you compare this to like Boba Fett Starship, how lazy they've been there. With Ray Sloan, it's almost like they've looked at when were the TIE Bombers around, when is this TIE Bomber set, what ranking was Ray Sloan at that point, and they put her in her correct ranking for that time period. And it feels just like the complete opposite, where they've like really thought carefully about this set, which I love, obviously. I would have liked to have seen Grand Admiral Sloan. She does eventually rise to the rank of Grand Admiral, so it would have been nice to kind of have that
spoiler alert there,
outfit
guys.
again. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm trying to think. I was thinking when you were talking about the canon stories, I think if you want to kind of track her story, I think her first appearance is in Lost Stars. Yeah,
because she plays like an ensign or a lieutenant or something like that in that one.
Yeah. A great character. So like you say, I was really pleased to kind of see her brought in, and it gives me hope that we're going to start seeing other characters. I'm certainly like you. I'll be certainly hoping that when Ahsoka comes out, we'll start getting Thrawn and Thrawn attached characters as well, which would be great. But for the set itself, my excitement levels went from I'll pick it up when it drops in price to I'm getting this on day one. Looking at the reviews, looking at the set itself, I mean, one of the biggest things for me is that there's no stickers.
No, I know.
There is not one sticker in this set, which is so exciting that they've actually either worked out a set where that it doesn't need stickers, or just, again, not been lazy with it and really thought through particular pieces. Like the gonk droid has got some Aurebesh on the back of him. He's got Imperial logos on the side, and none of them are stickers. And I just think this is what we've been waiting for, a set where they've really thought about the minifigures. They thought about printing. They thought about different pieces that they're going to be using. And I just think it looks like a really clever build. The Darth Vader actually has a new head as well. I think the arm printing, I don't think is new.
No.
Actually, looking at the advent calendar, I was checking it out, and he's got the arm printing on there as well. But he's got a new headpiece in there. In the previous headpiece, he's almost got like this little smile on his heavily burned face. But he's now grumpy. He's got an upside down smile in this new set, which I think definitely suits Vader at that point in time anyway. So I just think they've thought about a lot of different aspects of it. Having seen it up against the 2021 TIE Fighter, which already today we've spoken about, and I'm obviously a fan of it. I've got 3 of those. It fits, it's the same scale. And fits perfectly alongside those. So for me, it's like from one extreme to the other, looking at Boba Fett Starship and the laziness of that to this and the detail that they've managed to get into a play scale TIE bomber, the fact that there's no stickers, the perfect kind of minifig selection. And I think it's £65 it's coming out at. When I think about it, that's not bad. When you think about the Imperial Shuttle that came out a couple of years ago, that came out at £75-80. The Scythe came out at £90. I think this is up there with those sorts of sets. I know it's not quite on the same scale, but for quality alone, I'm definitely going to pick it up. I'm really, really impressed with what I've seen so far. And on top of that, I love the box art as well. I think that's really cool. I'm still not a fan. We haven't really spoken about this before, but I'm still not a fan of the plain white instructions. I don't know why. It doesn't mean anything, but it just... I don't know. I always like seeing...
I hadn't even I hadn't even considered that, but now you've said it, it's kind of like, oh yeah.
It was really weird because I think the last set I built that didn't have those instructions was the Boba Fett's throne room, and that almost came in like a book. Like it was portrait rather than landscape, and it felt like a really nicely binded kind of thing, and it had a different image on the front or a similar image than the box art. And then you go from that to just plain white with a fairly average rendering of it rather than a photo of it. And it's, I feel like you're almost going to open that box and it's going to be like, oh yeah, I'm building this again. The excitement drains. But no, I am excited about this. I'm really
one thing that I have noticed about this TIE Bomber is the cockpit window design is completely new as well. Like it's never been done on any other previous version of not just a TIE Fighter, but a TIE Bomber as well. So this is a completely new cockpit window design. It's new, it's fresh, it's different. And if the 2 other sets in this wave are duds, which are the Tusken Raider Brickhead and the Boba Fett's microfighter, and you've got the diversity and variety of the 501st Battle Pack, and you've got the must-have exclusive minifigure of Rey Sloane in this, and a new, fresh, non-sticker design. I think you can accept those 2 if this is what you've got to look forward to. I think if this is like the peak of the wave, I'm all for it. I think this will round off the January releases nicely as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think when you're going back to 2022 and the start of this year, we had the ATST and we had the Clone Trooper little minifig pack.
Snow Trooper Battle Pack as well.
Rebel minifig pack, Snow Trooper Battle Pack. So we had quite a lot coming out at that stage. And they were all good. I would argue that the ATST was great for a play scale.
One of the
ATST.
best ATSTs
I did love
I've ever
that
made. Like one of the best ATSTs ever.
Yeah, but for this wave, like you say, I think you do kind of accept the duds, and I think Lego are much better off kind of spreading their waves out across the year rather than chucking 7 or 8 sets out in January and expecting people to kind of go out and pick all of them up. If we do a quick rundown of it, the TIE Bomber I think is estimated 65. Brickheads, they're normally 10, aren't they? So what's that? 75. 501st 20, so that's 95, and the microfighters, I think they're normally about 10 as well.
They're just over £100 for 4 sets.
Yeah, but for about £100, you're getting the entire wave, the January wave. So I don't think that's that bad. To kind of be able to spend £100 and get the entire new wave of Lego Star Wars sets, I think it actually is quite exciting. And even myself knowing that I'm not going to pick up 2 of those straight away anyway, I'm excited that I'm going to be quite happily picking up 2 sets on day one. And even with kind of last week, before I'd seen the picture, it was quite funny. We recorded on Monday last week, and I think all the pictures kind of got leaked the day after. But we discussed it last week, and I was kind of like, I'll wait and see. I'll wait until they drop down in price. But I'm so impressed with those two that I'm going to pick up that I don't mind spending that, what is probably going to be an extra £10-15 on the Thai Bomber. I don't mind doing it to get it on day one or week one. So I am excited.
Yeah, I think definitely this is a winner. And I think with the, like you said, with this being the January Star Wars stuff, we've talked about previously the January Marvel releases. I think if you're not going to spend £100 and get the entire Star Wars, you could easily spend £100, if not maybe £150, and you could get these two Star Wars sets. And if you're a Marvel fan, you could get the Marvel mechs that are being released as well, and you're still coming under budget. So I think that is definitely worth it. I think it'll be a strong year for Marvel if that's what the mechs are going to be like, which we spoke about. And if these are the two peak January sets for Star Wars, I think the year's going to go off to a decent start.
Yeah, absolutely. I did have a little chuckle there because I completely forgot that other lines are releasing sets as well.
This is
we talked about the Lord of the Rings, we talked about Marvel. This is the problem with not
I'm
just
going to make a bold statement now. I am more excited for this version of the TIE Bomber and the 501st Battle Pack plus a couple of the Marvel sets that are being released than I am about the Lord of the Rings brickheads.
I don't think that's controversial. I think after what we said last week, they're not even on my radar at the moment. I'll wait until they come out.
But it could come back. But this excites me more because it's something that I've seen, I like, and I'm like, give me this. I will give you my money now. I want this more than I want that.
I think this is the most excited I've been about a play scale ship since I can't even remember. I wasn't that. I liked Mando's M1 Starfighter, but I wasn't sold. I didn't buy the Scythe until it really dropped in price because I wasn't sold. I guess I wasn't sold on the show and didn't. So it's been a while that I think for me, I've always been, especially Lego Star Wars, Imperial stuff has always been my favourite stuff to pick up. So yeah, getting ATSTs are great and things, but I love getting the ships. That's why I've got so many TIE Fighters.
I think this might be.
I like the Imperial shuttles.
I think this might be the most excited I've been for an Imperial set since Director Krennic Shuttle.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't disagree with that. It's exciting, and it does go back to the fact that we haven't, since the early 2000s, we have not had a TIE Bomber, and that TIE Bomber was with the odd Imperial blue and black colorway that they had on that range of TIE Fighters. I don't blame you for being excited because I am as well. Right, so let us know what you think about this wave of Lego Star Wars. We have talked in great depth. I've just looked at the time. We've almost done an hour already after the first one. But this is what happens when we start talking Star Wars.
It gets two grown men get about Star Wars on a podcast.
Yeah, four sets, two of which we don't like, and we still talked about it for an hour.
The Fandom Bricks Podcast.